Joining the calendar in 1967, we welcome you back to the WRC EA Creator Series event here on a Monday night. And of course, we're here for Rally Portugal, a fantastic stage set out, as previously mentioned, starting back in the 60s, briefly joining the European circuit, but now firmly back in the grasps of the World Rally Championship. Alongside me to help call all of the action is the wonderful John Isamusing Harris. John, how are you doing today?
I'm doing ever so well. I can't wait to get started in Portugal. One of the most difficult rallies, one of the rallies that everybody wants to win as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers will push, how much they're willing to sacrifice and risk to get that victory.
Indeed, and of course, this time around, we're back in the historic rally cars. We're in the H3, the rear wheel drives. What sort of challenge is that going to bring for our drivers here this afternoon?
Well, I mean, with the difference in surface levels, the difference in grip with the gravel, and just the blind crests, the one thing you want is a four-wheel drive car that's stable, consistent to drive, and definitely not rear-wheel drive cars with about 300 brake horsepower and that have snap oversteer and various other ailments. So this could be an interesting one, put it that way.
Indeed, it could. I'm really excited to get going, see how our drivers negotiate it. We got a good mix of some drivers in here. Punju, as always, Adam Sanderson coming back. Dirk Chocolate choosing the Renault 5 this time around. If you don't know, a bit of a meme in the rally community, especially here on the EA WRC game. And of course, there's some other drivers in that I'm sure you'll get accustomed to very quickly in the coming few minutes.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the car choices as well. A lot of people not going for the I won't call it overpowered, but potentially very, very fast Mark II Escort, the modern car in the class. So we've got a lot of drivers choosing the Renault 5 Turbo. They are extremely brave. We have a few drivers in the BMW E30 and some in the Lancia Stratos, which again is a very, very difficult car to drive. So we are going to see some immense feats of skill today.
Yeah, the only thing I've been told about the Lancia Stratos, and this is from Adam Sanderson, this is a direct quote: when you hit a telephone pole head on, the car looks rather sad because of how the front bumper bends. So I'm sure we'll be seeing quite a lot of that as the rally continues. We're being told it's a very tight, a very technical sort of flowing circuit, if that makes sense to the viewers at home. And yeah, Isaac, you've obviously done this circuit already. Talk us through what our drivers are thinking as they step up for stage one here.
Well, the first difficulty they have is they only have 3 sets of tyres, actually. So they have to make a brave decision of whether the medium tyres, if they put them on for the shakedown, will last the 4 stages that they are needed to go to actually get a good consistent tyre package over the whole race. We've got 8 stages here, but 4 service areas if you include the start service area. So they're going to have to make a decision. And from knowledge that I've accumulated through crashing my way through this event, you'll definitely probably want to take the hard tires if you want to have consistency. However, will people go for speed instead? It will be interesting to see. The difficulty, obviously, is that Portugal has some tarmac areas and some cobblestone areas, which will completely destroy the tires as well. So the grip levels will be ever diminishing, at least for the first 2 stints of this rally.
Indeed, and of course, looking back to the history of Rally Portugal, it's quite infamous due to maybe, let's say, its crowd control measures, especially early 70s, early 80s. But since then, standards have got somewhat safer, as much as they can do in World Rally Championship. And of course, here on the virtual game, they don't necessarily mean as much as they do in real life. On your screens at the moment, you can see Punju there, just getting his car set up and prepped, ready to go. On the right-hand side, Adam Sanderson, just discussing something, I think, on his tongue there. So not quite sure what's going through his mind, but I can tell you, from his point of view, he did have a little bit of a crash during his, through his, what's the word, shakedown. His first shakedown, he did find a telegraph pole at a good considerable speed. So there's already damage to that Lancia and maybe a knock to the confidence as well.
Well, thankfully, these cars are built extremely lightweight, so they're probably with a hammer or something, they can bash the car back into shape. It certainly looks that way. Definitely, the pre-race rituals here will be very important because you have to have confidence, you have to go for it. Portugal, one of the sort of slowest speed rallies in terms of average speed because of all of the blind crests, all of the rocks, all of the cliffs also that you can slide down. So it's going to be interesting to see who absolutely goes for it out of the box and who takes a very calm strategy. We'll have to wait and see because I have absolutely no idea. Also, something to note is the presence of quite a few night stages and evening stages, so we're going to have to watch out for visibility.
Indeed, we will, of course. Whilst the night and the evening will start crawling in for some of our drivers, I'm pleased to announce that it is going to remain nice and dry here in Portugal, at least from what I can tell on our weather radar so far. So hopefully everyone keeps it on the straight and narrow, at least whilst the dry remains. Punjo on the left-hand side, launching that BMW straight off the mark. Adam Sanderson won't be far behind him, and it's an immediate pause by Punjo, maybe some technical issues for himself. There we go. Just a little bit of an adjustment to his steering wheel. Adam Sanderson on the right, lights go on for himself. And ladies and gentlemen, we go rallying here in Portugal.
Yes, so Adam Sanderson had a crash just on a junction here in 2 corners time, which is a very tricky one over a crest, and there's a gate on the outside, and he's done it again, spinning into the barrier. Well, got away with it that time, but it was a lot harsher impact on the shakedown one. It's very, very difficult on tarmac gravel tyres. You can really get caught up, and that will not help his confidence. He's off as well, again into the second gate. I cannot believe it, repeating, and you can see him there frustrated, repeating the exact same mistake we saw during the shakedown. I cannot quite believe that, but it happens that you can get caught up in the mistake that you made and think, I'm not going to do that again, and repeat the exact same inputs.
Indeed, of course, your brain will naturally learn where you're trying to turn in for some of these corners. If he's done it once in practice, his brain's going to tell him that's the moment we need to turn in and not necessarily worry about the consequences later on. But so far, so good for Adam Sanderson. Punjo on the left-hand side, throwing that BMW through the gravelly hills of Portugal. The Vodafone signs on the left-hand side, of course, being the main sponsors of the rally here in Portugal. And both of them, so far, navigating the 7.4-kilometre circuit rather well. Punjo getting, I think, closer to the limits, or at least keeping within the limits more than Adam Sanderson might be on the right-hand side.
Yes, obviously the car choice will play a lot of sort of importance on how to drive the car. The Stratos is a much shorter wheelbase, lighter car as well, so it'll be more reactive to the bumps and to the inputs of the driver. So some of the differences you'll see will literally just be one car is faster than the other in that certain section. But by the end of the stage, the time should be quite equal. Looking at the leaderboards, apart from the Mark II Escort, which is a very, very fast car, all of the other cars seem to be in sort of the same ballpark. And Adam Sanderson going all the way up the bank, and he's rolled. I can see on my cameras here, he's absolutely on the roof. He just got it wrong over that jump and just clipped the rear wheel, and from then he was a passenger, sadly. I think no puncture, but he looks pretty relaxed about it, which is always what we want to see. And it looks like Dirk's been off a little bit as well. Maybe missed the junction, actually, going through there. It's very easy to miss your braking zone. Essentially, the junction is blind. You've just got to make sure that you brake in time. But our driver's having a lot of incidents for the moment as Adam Sanderson takes the Joker line through that section there, going around the bushes. Interesting whether to see what the others will get a penalty for not taking the Joker lap there.
Indeed, he is getting up close and personal with the hills of Portugal here as well. Punji finds himself on the asphalt for one of what will be numerous times over this stage of the rally. Dirk Chocolate, I think the only creator so far in these runs running the Renault 5 Turbo, and we can have a little bit of a chat further along as the cars continue to come up on your screens. Kamikaze, I can tell you, is running the BMW M3, similar to what Punju is doing. And speaking of Punju, he has hit the wall. That BMW finding itself at 90 degrees compared to where it should be pointing. I don't think it's going to let him get himself too far down on it, but certainly going to hamper the runtime.
Yes, definitely. That really tricky corner there on gravel tyres, because you're heading out of a flat-out section, as we say. Adam Sanson negotiating the exact same corner, getting away with it. So you've got to go down the gears, obviously, while turning as well, and on tarmac. So the tyres might lock up. You might even stall the engine. I think that might have been what happened. And yeah, you just get it out of control, and the easiest way is to stop the car and go again. See what gear you can find, if you can find a gear. And yeah, this rally is generally just that in a nutshell. Even in real life, you see most of the drivers talk about this rally as one that they really, really want to do well in, but that sometimes it just doesn't gel well. We saw it with Elfyn Evans this year, just not finding the pace, not finding the consistency. Danny Sordo as well, specialist of this type of rally. He just could not find the pace this year, and so this could happen to our drivers as well. But they seem to be doing well for the moment. A few minor mistakes, but nothing major. And they seem to be enjoying sliding the cars around these corners, that's for sure.
They do indeed, of course. Just making themselves nice and set up. New face on your screen, I believe, in the bottom right-hand side of the corner there, just alongside Dirk Chocolate. We are on. I'm going to butcher the name here, and I apologise to anyone in advance if they come and join these broadcasts. You will learn very quickly that I butcher names left, right, and centre. I'm going to go for Ancelosis.
I'll go with your pronunciation. I think it's easier rather than butcher it myself. I would go for encephalosis, but who knows? We'll ask them during their interview, I guess. That's for sure. They're just approaching this corner that I was describing there. You can see the gravel in the braking zone as well. It's ever so tricky, but negotiating it perfectly, as if there was no problem there whatsoever. Dirk looks like he's already sweating in that Renault 5 Turbo. The problem with that car, obviously one of the earliest cars to fit a turbo to a rally car, and the power delivery is about the same as in the Formula 1 cars in the 80s with the turbos, aka uncontrollable. And Punju looks like he has finished the stage in 59th place, 37 seconds off the lead. You can see the pace that people have had during these stages already. It's one of those things where hesitate and you don't have the power to get going again. Momentum is very, very important with these cars.
Indeed it is, yeah. Punju, as you mentioned, 59th place, a 5-minute 12.840. Adam Sanderson comes across the checkered markers there. Let's see what time he's put up on our leaderboard. I think it's going to be something 58.08. We'll wait and see when that full board comes up. And there we go. He's going to be in the 5-minute 50s. 808, so that put him in about 162nd place so far on the stage 1 leaderboard. Going back, of course, to the drivers active on the stages. Dirk Chocolate on the left-hand side, and Anphalosis. I'm going to get that wrong every single time. I apologise to people watching along at home. But those two finding their way through the hills of Portugal, back on the gravel stuff, and both of them navigating it rather well.
Yeah, it certainly seems that they haven't had the problems that I anticipated they might have with the car choices, and especially for Dirk Chocolate, he looks like he's navigating that as if it was his Sunday driver car. On saying that, he had a huge moment there into one of the last turns, and he spun around, so that's our first jinx of the session. No worries, we had to get it out of the way on stage 1. But it looks like he's going to complete it in a very good time, actually, this stage. And Encephalosis is approaching the same section as well. You can see from both of their perspectives the difficulties here in spotting the obstacles, which sometimes aren't even called out by the pace notes. And just going over a crest, you've got to choose where you're going to put the car and just sometimes hope that you put it in the right place.
Indeed, you are. You can see a little bit of celebration from Dirk Chocolate already, just celebrating the fact that he got through that first stage. It is definitely warm in his room. You can see him wipe the sweat off his brow just a couple of moments ago. 104th place for Dirk Chocolate, and Cephalosis comes across the line. Where are they going to go? It's wait and see when the camera gets removed. Hopefully they'll skip to the leaderboard nice and quickly. There we go, 5-minute 26.0, so almost a 5-minute 26 flat for themselves, and that is going to be good enough for 97th place on the leaderboard. Good results for both of them. There we go. I think another new name in our broadcast here this afternoon, Legretch. Interestingly enough, they choose to drive in the follow cam here, Isaac.
Yes, they started their career off in Rallycross on Dirt Rally 2 or Dirt 4, as far as I can remember from my notes. And so in Rallycross, you need to have spatial awareness, and the best way to get that on a video game is to drive the chase cam. And from what he explained to me before the broadcast, that's how he's just learned how to drive a rally car, and it's very difficult to unlearn that type of knowledge. So he's kept going with it, and I tell you what, his stage times are absolutely incredible with it. Meanwhile, we have Kamikaze across the line, and it looks like he's in the top 20 there, according to what I can see. So an absolutely wonderful time. 15th for Gresh, and 16th, I think, for Kamikaze, if I got that correct.
Yep, exactly correct. There's about 6/10 that separates the both of them, but fantastic times considering the differing points of view. And as you said, it's all about perspective when it comes to noticing what obstacles, what foliage might be around you here in the rally, and of course Rallycross, as they previously mentioned. They started off in Punju, and Adam Sanderson lining up and ready to go for stage 2 here, though. Slightly longer stage, I think, ahead of them, 7.5 kilometers, so 0.1 of a difference between the two of them. But here we go, approaching sunset, so the sun will start to go down on our drivers as we go over the next couple of stages. This is where visibility might become an issue, especially if they start to damage their headlights.
Yes, this stage is quite different from the previous one. For a start, you'll be driving into the sun at some point in this stage because you're climbing uphill. It's a stage that majoritarily, I think 90% goes uphill. So traction will be a little bit better. However, understeer will be a major problem, I think, for some of these cars like the Renault 5 Turbo. So we'll have to see how they tackle that, as Adam Sanderson is already off the stage and I think has just got a little bit lost in where to get back on the stage. Let's see if we can recover this a little bit. I don't even know where the road is. There it is, and you can hardly see because of the reflection on the screen, the sunlight just glaring into your eyes there. But you can see with all of the trees, all of the shadows, it can become difficult. And through a huge water splash there we were about to see for Punju there, and it's really difficult to get that one correct because there is a speed where if you go through it, the car sort of aquaplanes on the water and you can actually carry some speed through it, but it's so difficult to get the speed absolutely correct. And then you've got to spot your braking zone to turn in, which Adam Sanderson looks like he's done correctly as well. And then you continue the climb up the hill. This stage also ends with a very difficult tarmac section at the end of it, where you could literally chew up the tires, which is basically what I did during my run, pushing way too fast on the tarmac sections. And stage 3 and stage 4 on those tires were an absolute nightmare. So let's see if some of our drivers choose to maybe keep it a bit cleaner, not spin up the tires, and just hold on for dear life, put it that way.
Yeah, that's the question we're asking. Will they look ahead to the future stages, maybe plan for that in advance, or will they just think about the here and now? Punju into a tight left-hander as he manages to flick that BMW around all of the twists and turns that Portugal is beginning to throw at him. Some of our other drivers, starting their runs for stage 2, and everyone just managing to navigate through at the moment. Punju is in he's locked in, he's focused, he's raring to go here for stage 2. We can have a look at your time for this stage. It was a 4 minutes 34.888. That is what our drivers will be aiming to beat, of course. I think rarely that many do. I'm sure some of the esports drivers will be looking up to that time and hoping they can match it, if not beat it. Punju, though, through the hills of Portugal they run, just keeping control of that car. I don't know how he does it sometimes. It's a little bit of magic, the way he flicks that wheel left to right and keeps that car pointing in the right direction.
Definitely, talent will be on the show today. If you can keep your car just handling correctly and the tires alive, you'll be able to demonstrate how good you are at driving these cars. It's a real sort of old school driving style. So some of the drivers, some of the esports drivers even, that aren't used to driving these cars, aka practicing in the WRC 1 class, practicing maybe for an esports event in WRC 2 class, something like that, will find it quite difficult to adapt to a rear-wheel drive car or even a front-wheel drive car. So these cars really throw the cat amongst the pigeons in terms of having to adapt, and that's what rallying is all about. Portugal is a rally where you have to adapt to the conditions, adapt to your confidence level, and sort of rein yourself in a little bit. And these cars force you to do the opposite, effectively, because they have to be driven sideways. You have to use the rear of the car, a little bit of throttle on entry, sometimes after a braking zone, just to get the car to rotate, so you don't understeer, and you have to drive it literally like you stole it.
Yeah, Dirk is managing to control that Renault rather well, if I may say so myself. As you mentioned, there might be a little bit of understeer just because of how the car is manufactured, how it looks to run on these stages. But at the moment, he's running it almost flawlessly here on this stage. And Cephalosis on the right-hand side in that BMW is absolutely loving life at the moment. He looks very calm in that cockpit as he runs through the hills about 1/3 of the way through the stage at the moment.
It's actually very interesting because we've got two perspectives here with the wheel visible in their webcams, and you can see the difference in inputs between Dirk in the Renault 5 Turbo, very aggressive, very sort of corrections of the snap oversteer, whereas Ancephalosis in the BMW can afford to take a little bit of a more leisurely turn at the wheel, quite literally, and you can really tell the difference in terms of how the car is looking on screen, and Ancephalosis able to negotiate the bumps at a lot faster pace, in my opinion. We'll see how it turns out in terms of stage time, because the Renault 5 Turbo has a little bit more power, if I remember correctly, so up the hill could be useful.
Indeed, it could. I'm just going to go back to that point you mentioned about the steering wheels on the screens, the flicks from Ancephalosis. They look so calm, so controlled, so precise.
Oh,
Exactly
Dirk's
what
off
he wants the
into
car
the
to do.
trees.
He is indeed into the trees. Dirt chocolate.
Incredible. Yeah, it's really, really tricky to... Over that crest, he just got it wrong. A snap of oversteer and then correcting it mid-air. Obviously, mid-air, you've got no steering, you're a passenger, and by the time the car landed, it was about 45 degrees pointing to the right, then into a bush, into a fence now, collecting a bit of the environment to take with him to the stage finish, but that's not what he will have wanted to do. And unfortunately, in his first crash there, he managed to find the only tree there in that vicinity, so it's not gone well for him, but it looks like the car's okay for the moment. He'll have a service area after this, so he just needs to calm it down a bit onto the tarmac as well, so lack of grip and into the wall. It's all going wrong for Dirk at the moment, but it looks like he's getting away with it. Punju completes also 52nd place, 31 seconds down. Not a bad time. We didn't see much of his run, but it looks like a smooth run through there.
Yeah, definitely looks smooth indeed. Adam Sanderson's finished his run. I think it was in the mid 130s for himself. But they always say bring a souvenir home when you go on holiday, and Dirk Chocolate will not be pleased with the souvenir that his car's picked up here in the hills of Portugal. I wonder if he'll manage to get that through customs and back to the UK. But nonetheless, he's managing to soldier on, keep going through, trying to keep an eye on the time as well, roughly around the 4.5 minute mark for himself. At the bottom of your screens now, Kamikaze and Legresh have been added as well. Those two making their way through the second stage as well, roughly about halfway behind the drivers at the top of your screen. So Ancephalosis and Dirk Chocolate will be finishing probably in the next minute or so.
I've got to make a shout out for Gresh, to be honest, because he's doing it in the Opel Ascona, which is the, well, technically slowest car in the class if you do it in terms of pure speed on a time trial, for example. However, it could help in terms of tyre wear, tyre life, and just keeping it consistent. So we'll have to wait and see. He seems to be absolutely just knocking it out of the park in terms of pace at the moment and consistency, along with Kamikaze as well. So we'll have to see how their times compare. They were absolutely neck and neck, almost nothing between them on the first stage. So let's see how they do in stage 2.
Indeed he is. I just want to make a point now, and as you said, a shout out to Legresh. There is no Opel Ascona within the top 65 drivers that have completed all of the stages so far. So if they can get any time quicker than a 58 minute 24 seconds, they will be the fastest Opel driver on our course this afternoon. And Cephalosis has finished their time 71st on the stage 2 leaderboard. Dirk Chocolate looks to have an issue though. I think that might be a puncture for the Renault 5 Turbo.
Yes, I think he's at the last section, just coming up to the last section of the stage. Honestly, I wouldn't have repaired that. If you look at the left-hand side, he's so near the finish. He's literally 2 corners within finishing here. You just go up over this crest, and you can see there's the first finishing board, which announces the finish, over this jump into finish there. So that's a 90-second penalty for about 15 seconds of stage left. I think he'll be kicking himself, maybe, that he stopped to repair that. But I think what happened is there's a rocky section there just as you go off of that, just before the end of that tarmac section. And if you get it wrong, it's a 4th gear corner, so very, very fast snap of oversteer. And if you correct it, you'll go into the rocks anyway. So I think he was caught quite literally between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, 208th place there for Dirk Chocolate after 1 minute and 35 seconds worth of penalties. I think he'll definitely be kicking himself when he realises that there is indeed a repair stage available after, well, pretty much now, well, like you said, 2 corners after where he had to repair it on the track. Obviously, the drivers, if they haven't looked ahead, if they haven't prepared for the stages, they might not have looked ahead at where those repairs are available. And of course, 15 seconds over 90 seconds. I think everyone knows what they're choosing here. I was hoping for a Dirk live reaction, but nonetheless, on board with. Oh, there we go. We might get his live reaction. I think we might have been past it a little bit. Maybe he just didn't realise that you can repair the tyres at this stage. He looks rather unfazed.
I'll add a note about this actually, because sometimes if you've only got 2 driven wheels, so anybody that's got a puncture on the rear tyres for the Formula 1 game, for example, will know that sometimes getting it back to the pits on one tyre is really, really tricky. You don't have any traction, the car can be very unsteady and all that. And so sometimes especially on tarmac, if the one tyre has got nothing to dig into and it's just spinning up the tyres, you can't get the drive up the hill, especially going uphill. So he may have just been stuck without being able to get any traction in those tyres, and just sat there thinking, well, I've got no choice to change the wheel. It's happened to me before, so that might be the case for Dirk. It might not be a poor judgment.
Yeah, I think we're
And
going to
it
be able
looks
to
like we've
pull.
got an
Oh,
interview.
sorry. After you.
No, my apologies. We're commentating each other there at that point. I think Ancephalosis for an interview here. Looking good for the moment. Hello, hello. It's looking good in terms of stage times and looking good in terms of driving. How's your analysis for the moment of these 2 stages?
Oh yeah, man. I'm super happy to be alive with minimal damage. I'm happy with the pace. I know we're not going super fast, but I was saying, in Portugal with the mixture of the asphalt and the gravel, you got to really underdrive a lot of the turns, especially with the uneven road, because uneven road combined with dirty asphalt, it just it can spell disaster. I actually had a little bit of whoopsie in the shakedown. So the theme I'm trying to keep is just don't overdrive. And yeah, I'm happy with what I've done so far.
So what's your tyre strategy been? Because there's only 3 sets of tyres for 8 stages. That means that we're 1 set of tyres short. What's your analysis of that?
So I took a little bit of a tip off from Punju. This is my first kind of major presence here, so I was definitely going to listen to the OG. And ironically, he kind of flubbed his his own strategy and accidentally took the mediums first. But he suggested hard for the first 20 miles, and then medium for 10 miles, and then hards for the last 20 miles. So that's the first 4 stages on hards. I think 2 on mediums and 2 on hards again, because the last 2 are super long. And I think that math checked out for me, at least.
Yeah, I think the last 2 stages are something like about 30 kilometers combined. So you will be looking to run the hards to the end there. But you happy with how you've made progress so far in the first couple of stages? Looking forward to the next few. Anything you'd want to change or maybe switch it up a little bit?
Honestly, I don't think so. Part of me wants to say maybe I can push a little bit more now that I'm confident, now that I'm feeling the car. But I know in the past that when I've said that, I've also got to remember that this is now when my tires are starting to wear. So I don't want to push. I want to keep driving safe. I think I do want to just keep with that strategy and try to stay alive. No punctures is the goal for the day.
Sounds like a plan. I hope it works out for you, and I'm sure we'll catch up with you later on in the live stream, and until then, all the best.
Sounds
good. As he gets cut off midstream. I think we're going to be able to get Kamikaze in for a quick chat as well here. I wonder if I can pull him across to save Gareth a bit of a job. There we go. Kamikaze, welcome in to the commentary booth. First of all, how have the first couple of stages gone for you?
All good for me. We don't do any big risks, so just safe through. Not a big push at all, just to get through.
And we were speaking to Ancephalosis just a moment ago. Maybe some varying tyre strategies. What was your plan heading into the rally for your tyre use? The hards and the mediums, of course, in very limited supply.
Medium, hard, medium.
Same tire strategy for everybody then. Looks like everybody's got that figured it out. How are you coping with the difference of terrain at the moment? Because we've got some cobblestones, some tarmac, some gravel. Are you trying to save the tires maybe a little bit as we watch Dirk Chocolate go through here? He's just had a massive crash, by the way, off camera, where he's gone flat out over a jump into a pile of rocks, sadly, but it looks like no damage so far.
We did the mediums on the two first one, a little bit of asphalt, but we're gonna go do 4 stages on hard now. So before the last service, we're gonna change to mediums. Compared to weather, that should be the best choice. So yeah, we'll see how the underground tackle my tires. Perfect. It's a 4-cylinder BMW, so yeah.
Fantastic
That's
stuff.
Perfect. I couldn't have wished for a better answer. No, we seem to be tripping over a little bit today. Anxious to get our opinions from Kamikaze, one of the legends of pace in this game, that's for sure. And looking at the car choices, how much do you think the less modern cars have a disadvantage compared to the Ford Escort in this category?
A lot of horsepower and weight. So yeah. And of course the Ford Escort has a sequential transmission, and the other cars has H pattern. So yeah, that's the biggest difference. Yeah, so you understand.
Yeah.
The BMW is not the fastest one, but one of the funniest. So I think the BMW and the Opel is the best car in this class. So, but yep, one fellas on it. You can compare the 2 cars. They are slowly as. Yep.
Amazing stuff,
we'll
Kamikaze.
We'll see how the times compare.
Yep.
We're doing it again.
You can tell we haven't worked together in a couple of weeks here.
We're having fun. That's the whole
point.
Oh
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, it's fun.
So yeah, all right. As always, it's been a pleasure to chat to you. We'll let you get on with your stages, and we will head back to the rally action. Oh, it's always going to happen in interviews, isn't it, John? It's one of the things about working remotely with each other. We don't get those cues with each other about when to hand off.
Well, I think we just have so many questions to ask the drivers. You know, there's always some really interesting info that they give, and you always want to ask one question more. And sometimes we get the ideas at the same time, and it happens in commentary, as you say. And I think we're quite lucky to have gotten away with it so far, as we have. So we can see Kamikaze already in stage, looking to catch up time.
Yeah, immediately gone from interview mode to rally mode. The eyes are completely focused on that in front of him, and we join us here at dusk at stage 3. Of course, the sun decreasing past the eye view ever so slightly. The next stage 4, taking place at complete night. So there's headlights. You have to keep them intact, maybe not crash into as many walls as you take less risks. I think that's probably the overview of this, is just get the car through, make sure all the components are in action, as it's just a brush with the rocks on the right hand side for himself, but still that car charges forwards.
Yes, for context, that is where Dirk Chocolate had his massive crash. He was a lot more to the right, and before he'd even landed, he was colliding with a few of the rocks and went onto his roof, if I remember correctly. So a bit of damage. It looks like off-camera Antaflosis has a little bit of an accident, the bonnet flapping over the crest, so we'll get to that possibly in a second. He's towards the end of the stage now, so there's a huge drop-off now down the hill in the last sector. Really tricky to get this correct, because you've got to spot the braking zones. Obviously, the cars are very light on the rear end. Most of them are front-engined rear-wheel drive, so the traction's going to be difficult, the braking zone's difficult, and this is where you can lose most of the time in the stage, because you have to keep pushing if you want to get a good stage time. But the tires now being sometimes 3 stages old for some drivers, it could be very tricky for them.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a difference in mood compared to Dirk Chocolate on the left-hand side and Ancephalosis on the right-hand side. Dirk still jerking that wheel about, trying to make the car work for him, whereas Ancephalosis on the right-hand side, that car is perfectly in tuned, everything's so precise, so smooth, and so controlled as Dirk Chocolate has gone around as he came down the hill. That car doing a complete 180, and I think he almost Austin-powered it, but nonetheless getting going again. Something I think that's worth noting here, the first 3 stages, all pretty much similar in terms of distance, 7.4, 7.5, and then 7.3 kilometers. So it'll be an equal-ish run time for all of them. I think it's a little bit more on this third stage as Dirk has a massive impact with the hill on the right-hand side, just getting that car across the red markers to finish off the stage. 6 minutes 30 is his time.
Yes, the stages being almost equal length. However, the terrain of the stages changes a lot. This one up and down hills quite a bit, and through village sections where you have to slow down to a crawl almost on the tarmac. And effectively, the previous 2 stages were quite a high speed across the plateau, across the top of the mountains, really. Whereas this one all the way down to the village at the bottom of the hill. So lots taken into account. Dirk obviously suffering a little bit in terms of time from that previous mistake. But Ancephalosis looks like he's completing in a mega time here, 6:16. I think some of the fastest times have dipped into the 5 minutes. But my guess would be 5:50 would be an absolute wonderful time to have. So Ancephalosis doing very, very well so far. It'll be interesting to see how the times compare between him, Kamikaze, and Lagresh, who are still on stage at the moment. Let's have a look at the leaderboard then. 100th place exactly. There you go. Well, not only have they dipped into the 5 minutes, apparently they are closer to the 4 minutes, actually, which is incredible pace from some of our drivers. But Ancephalosis and Kamikaze's on his roof. What's going on here?
I can't reset either, so that will be the end of his stage and potentially a tow till the end of this group of stages as well, until they can get back to a nice recovery checkpoint. And I think his face there explains it all. It's going to be recovery to the next day for the EXR driver. 3, 2, 1 countdown, and I think he's trying to get that car reset. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. That car firmly on its roof.
A bit like in Trackmania when you watch them just rocking back and forth, waiting for it to be sort of flipping over onto the onto the wheels, and he's retired, sadly. I think, yeah. It was possible. The car was sliding a little bit, but obviously no assistance to recover it onto the wheels. It could have, in real life, got a few spectators to push it over onto the 4 tires, but sadly not here. And that will be a huge blow for his attempt here, because obviously he's always going for first place, always wanting to push the limits of the stages. And unfortunately there, it looks like pushed it a little bit too much.
Good luck. Yeah, indeed he did. The driver that is currently 7th place in our championship standings over what is now 4 rounds, I think. No, sorry, many more rounds than that. We're on, I think, stage 6 here in Rally Vodafone. Sorry, Rally Portugal. My mind's really not with everything this evening, but that, like you said, will be a massive blow. Punju and Adam Sanderson starting stage 4 here in the dead of night, and those headlights working, fortunately, on both of them. Adam seems to have got himself more locked in than he was in the first stage, managing to send that Lancia a lot more controlled through the hills. Punju, I think he looks almost like he's having a bit of a laugh as he runs through past all the rocks.
This stage will be a test of confidence. At night, on the fastest stage, in my opinion, of Rally Portugal, and one of the most technical as well. Most of the corners here, 3rd gear, but blind over crests, as you can see here. And especially mid-stage, you've got a stage with a few jumps, where if you take it just right, you can avoid some of the corners. However, if you get it wrong, it's probably a rally-ending crash. So we'll have to wait and see whether those analyses of confidence are going to hold up to this stage. But so far, they look absolutely perfect. So, Punju, struggling there straight away. I think the tyre wear at this stage, the tyres may be looking a bit more like slicks than gravel tyres. Definitely if you're taking the medium sets, you'll be chewing up those tyres in no time. And especially with those previous tarmac sections, as Adam Sanderson getting so close to the rocks. I thought he was going off stage there, definitely offline, but he managed to recover it somehow. I will want to know how, because I'm not sure how he made that recovery. But definitely, as you can see here, they're coming off the plateau into sort of a valley for Adam Sanderson, and it's here where you get the hairpins and the jumps in the corners. So I'm gonna have to pay special attention to this course, because it can go wrong so fast. In a blink of an eye, you can miss it.
Indeed, it can. You can see the drop to the left-hand side of Rock in front of Adam. He managed to slow the car down, I think just enough to avoid any major damage, but almost to the point where it was Rock hard placed on the right-hand side. It was Cliff Edge on the left-hand side, and I think he's got the car almost... Oh, I thought he had it stuck over the hillside there, but very fortunately, he's managed to get that Lancia moving once again. Punju on the left-hand side, BMW M3, or Adam riding the hills once again on the right. All of that confidence that he was carrying through the first third of this stage seems to have been knocked, as both of them once again get their cars rolling at crazy high speeds through narrow roads on gravel track.
If you just watch there, Punju went for it. He went for the jump over the rocks and he managed it, just got away with it, but at what cost? I mean, you can only do that a couple of times before your luck runs out, but he seems to know this stage very, very well, and he's taking the correct lines for it. The BMW, the car of choice to have, I think, for this stage. Just a bit more stable, absorbing the impact a little bit with the longer wheelbase, so giving you a bit more confidence. And it looks like, though, they've both got good pace here, so we'll have to wait and see their stage times. But it looks like they're not phased at all by the tyre wear or the problems. It might be the Punju having taken the mediums. We heard a previous mistake. He might have taken a fresh set of hard tyres now into these two stages, so we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. As Adam Sanderson looks like he's had a reset penalty or got stuck there. Somehow I missed that, I will admit, but that will add to the lack of confidence. And I think this is the the second stage in the dark of about 3 or 4 stages from what I can remember. So if they can get confidence in this stage, as Punju bouncing off the rocks there as well, they're still in the same area of stage within a few corners here, so we can get a direct comparison of their pace and their confidence, as it looks like it's all going wrong actually in this really rocky terrain. You've got to slow down the pace, the bumps and the cornering at the same time is an absolute nightmare, and it looks like it's taking its toll.
Yeah, indeed it was. Both drivers looked like they were using their cars as bobsleighs through the rocky section. They had hills left and right, and they were sending it as high up as they could to try and keep the speed. Unfortunately for Punju, it did result in a 5-second reset penalty. I think Adam Sanderson had one earlier on in the stage as well, but now both of them with a little bit more free ground, a little bit more room for mistakes with the open space on the left-hand side, and now the tarmac coming into play as well. It's a very differing rally here in Portugal. You've got so many elements in one rally, and Adam managing to find the hills once again, doing a lovely barrel roll and a massive almost teeth grit just to mark off the occasion.
Yes, in terms of bobsleigh, that was the Jamaican team at Calgary Olympics. Unfortunately, just onto the roof there. It's so tricky. Once you get on the tarmac, you lose all braking ability and most of your turning ability. And here, down on the cobblestone section, or slightly dusty section as well, the grip can be very, very tricky and sort of... as Adam Sanderson's gone the wrong way, missed the junction, reverse there, it was on the right. And I think he's a bit perplexed as to where to go. There it is, by the rocks and by the house. He's done a full 180 now. I think we're going to park it and have a cup of tea or something. Here we go. We'll find it eventually. There we go. There it was. It was there all along, but hidden, camouflaged perfectly by the rocks. Again, this rally really, really tricky with the pace notes, with the sort of complexity of the stages. You see it even in real life. They miss junctions, they get it wrong, they just sort of get disoriented with how much they have to turn the car. Punju on this side as well, just clipping the inside of that corner. Very easy to do. It's got a very sort of cambered center of the road, and he just got it slightly wrong, trying to carry the momentum in there as he should, but sometimes the car can just step out and push you in the wrong direction, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah, in terms of pinball machines, this one's going for a high score in this stage. It's certainly sort of catching all of our competitors off guard.
Indeed it is. If you remember back to the days of old with the window pinball machine, the bings and the bongs will be absolutely sending you nuts right now. Punju managing to have a little bit of a drift, getting that car 90 degrees again, to the point in which he should be facing. Oh, and a massive clip on the right-hand side. It's a 180, almost a 270 spin into a tree. A very artsy pirouette for the BMW M3, and another reset penalty to boot. You can see the mental exhaustion at the end of the stage as he comes across the line. It's a 638 and a firm slap of the wheel to just mark the end of the frustration on this stage. Adam Sanderson on the right-hand side comes across that final kind of couple of markers around the right-hander. He'll come across the line with a 7-minute 10.4. And slightly different reactions on both of our drivers' faces, even though in terms of timings, they're certainly reversed.
It looks like a very tricky stage from everybody because that time was still good enough for a 70th place, for Punju. So 1 minute off the pace, but a lot of drivers struggling, obviously, because that time is still top 100. And Adam Sanderson, 129th, it looks like, 1 minute 33 off the lead. Obviously, that missed pace note and the brief stop for a cup of tea, not the best for the stage times, but in terms of entertainment, pure bliss.
Indeed. Let's get Punju in for a quick chat and see if we can talk us through how his rally went this time around. Punju, welcome in for the Portuguese rally. I think first time in the comments box this evening. Talk us through how the first few stages have gone for yourself. You didn't look too happy finishing that last one.
You know, I wasn't too happy at the end, but the middle of it, I couldn't have been happier. I mean, I don't know if you guys know about the big jump over the rock corner cut. I'm sure Isa may have mentioned it. I sent it. I went for it, and I'm glad I landed it. So that was all I cared about, honestly, in the stage. In fact, I think I'm right there in the replay right now, if you guys are watching. It's like the most hilarious corner cut in the entire game, in my opinion, where it says don't cut, but you just straight up ignore it, and you just jump right over a giant boulder. You know, like that. I love it.
I must admit, your confidence through there, I have to give you credit for it, because that can go so easily wrong, but just going through, absolutely, I don't think you even lifted, did you?
No. No.
Oh, of course not.
So
of
full
course
flat
not.
out, full flat out, all the way over the rock.
Oh,
I barely cleared
God.
it too, if you notice. Right? Yeah. It was inches. So, you know, you gotta go for it sometimes. It's unfortunate, you know, the like intense attack didn't end up paying off over the stage because I just accumulated too many penalties, but and it was really fun first half of the stage. I liked it. So yeah.
So in terms of tire strategy, you're on the hard tires now, I guess, after taking the mediums in the shakedown. Has that impacted your sort of running plan, or is it still all going to plan, well, apart from the sort of moments towards the end there?
Yeah, a couple moments. I actually didn't mean to take the mediums, I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought I had selected the hards when I went to my shakedown, but it looks like it just said, nope, you don't get those. So that's a little unfortunate. I wanted to have hards so I could go hard for 4 stages, medium for 2, hard for the final 2. But now I'm taking hards for these middle 4. Instead, I'm going to take mediums for the final 2. So yeah, we're making it work. We got to call a little bit of an audible, but not the end of the world. You know, such is life. So hopefully not too much damage. We'll see what we got. We're about to find out, obviously, but yeah, go and keep on crushing it.
Indeed. It might be a bit of a switch up in the strategies, but nonetheless, we hope it works out the best for you. And I'm sure, knowing you and your history here at the EA Sports Crit Series rally events, you'll probably pull it out of the bag anyway.
I'll try my best, that's for sure. I'm definitely going to try.
No worries. Best of luck, mate.
Yeah.
And we'll
Thanks,
chat to
Ed.
you a little bit later.
Appreciate y'all.
We'll put him back with all the other creators here. I think we've got a few just getting ready and prepped again. Actually, before that, we've got one more interview. Let's get the man himself, the Cocoa Bean. No, that sounds bad. Dirk Chocolate into the room. Dirk, how you doing?
What are we laughing for? What's going on? What's this?
Nothing happened. Don't worry about it. How's the Renault 5 Turbo handling for the moment?
Really good. I had one. I think I'd be up there right now if it wasn't for a puncture I've had. But otherwise, the last stage, I beat everyone. So I'm like, great, I beat everyone. But my tires now, I also messed up with my tire strategy. So I accidentally used a pair at the start. So I've only got 2 pairs. So I don't know what to do about that one.
That's going to hurt towards the end.
Yeah, it's the last stage is going to be brutal. So it's, we've got the pace, but we've kind of shot ourselves in the foot already. Just kind of like,
That's the beauty of turbo lag, though. Sometimes it's great, other times you have no power. You know, with a puncture, I'm sure it didn't help to have that turbo spooling up and all of that. But honestly, it's impressive watching you drive that car. The inputs, everything just looks absolutely 10 out of 10 commitment. And so got to give you credit where it's due.
So I appreciate that. I actually spent like a good hour fine tuning this out because I was hating it at the start, and now I was like, okay, now it's balanced. I'm happy, and I'm a bit more confident. But I'm annoyed at the start. It's just if it happened at the end of the stage, fine. But at the start, it's like, well, but yeah. Anyway,
no, nonetheless. It is what it is indeed, and obviously, 58th place now in that last thing. I think you've just been pipped out by someone else. I don't necessarily within the creators at the moment, but you've been pipped out by someone, so down to 58. But nonetheless, I think you were the fastest overall.
I'm just proud of beating this chief here. If I've beaten him, that means I'm doing something right. Or he's had a very bad day, one of the two. But beating these two puts a smile on my face. I'm good.
Amazing stuff. Well, Dirk, it's been a pleasure. I will let you get on with your rally stages, and words are failing me this evening. I apologise. We'll speak to you a little bit later on.
No worries. Catch you soon.
Catch you soon. Some days your words just don't work for you.
It's called adaptive commentary. Don't worry about
It
it.
is, exactly.
And in terms of commentary, we've got EXR Kamikaze on board here, which we can commentate through. So this. It looks like he's jumped ahead of a few people, probably wanting to catch up a little bit on the pace, wanting to just go while he's fresh, and he looks like he's absolutely smashing it out of the park. This is, if I remember correctly, stage 2 in reverse. So going all the way down the hill this time, and as you can see, absolutely sending it over the jumps, about 20 degrees sideways. Incredible stuff. Look at him go. This is just what you'd expect from a pro driver at top level, and he's making it look easy.
He is indeed. There's always such focus on his face, apart from when the moments let him down, but this is not one of those moments. EXR Kamikaze absolutely flying through the hills of Portugal here. He has such control of the car, throws out the back end to get the car rotated.
Oh.
It's a little bit too much this time around, but he's still going. He's still facing the right way, and this won't surely hamper him too much.
Yeah, that's the difficulty with a rear-wheel drive car, especially a front-engined one. Sometimes the momentum, the tires just dig in, especially at the front, and as soon as that happens, just momentum just swings the back of the car around. There's nothing you can do about it, because if you plant the throttle 100%, you'll just spin around faster, maybe do a 360. Actually, that might look cool in retrospect, but certainly won't save you from the humiliation of a spin or a half spin. But in terms of just recovering it, he did exactly the correct thing. Just drive it out of there, use a bit of the circuit, and maybe 2-3 seconds lost. But look at it. Oh, it's happened again. Maybe a change in the setup or something, but he looks quite frustrated actually about that happening a second time. So maybe just a new technique or something. He's trying to go a bit faster and not working out for him. Just locking the brakes as well, possibly going downhill. There's so many things that can go into driving a rear-wheel drive car and a historic car that you don't have to think about in a modern car. See all of these modern differentials, modern brakes, and sometimes assists that you can get in these cars can really help you. Whereas with I think he's gone off just before the finish. He has gone off just before the finish. A third spin for Kamikaze in one sector, and just before the finish boards there as well. That's not the stage that he would have wanted to have. And I think he's very, very frustrated with that.
Yeah, you can see it on his face. He came across the line. Their head immediately went to the hand. But on board now with Punju in that BMW M3 Evo rally, about halfway through this stage. And stage 5, as you said, a reverse repeat of stage number 2. Just managing to keep the car within the gravel lines of this circuit. A little bit of a long run towards the left-hander. And you can see him eyeing it up as we approach dawn here in Portugal. Adam Sanderson on the right-hand side of your screens, getting that Lancia again, just slightly further behind where Punju is at the moment, halfway mark of this 7.5 kilometer long stage. And I believe there is a service area at the end of this stage as well, so any damage could be somewhat negated with the long service. But Adam Sanderson is into the trees with that Lancia through a bit of the ropes, and it is a reset penalty for himself. 6 seconds to be added to his total time, and a little bit of a hand in the air to mark his frustration.
I will correct myself. It is stage 5, not stage 4. My apologies. But yes, for Adam Sanderson, head against the wheel as well, and car against the tree, I guess, mirroring what has happened to the car. But unfortunately, that is radiator damage as well. Thankfully, a short stage, so not too bad in terms of consequences. But although some of these cars, like the Stratos and the Renault 5 Turbo, have the engine at the back, all of the radiators are still at the front, so susceptible to damage, unfortunately. And I must admit, the Lancia Stratos being one of the lightest cars in the game with quite a bit of power and a short wheelbase, very, very tricky to negotiate all of these bumps and rocks. And once the car snaps, you've really got to work very, very hard and have a little bit of luck as well recovering the car. So maybe just getting a little bit unlucky today.
Yeah, unfortunate for Adam, of course. That I think most weeks he manages to damage the front end of the cars some way or another, but at least he's keeping consistent over the various stages. Punju on the approach to the finish, asphalt to finish off this particular part of stage 5. Unfortunately, the sun will start rising for our drivers from the next few stages. Adam Sanderson just taking out some of the brake marker boards on the right-hand side, but both of them navigating through fairly successfully. All the 3 remaining stages after this, all in either early sunrise or morning, and that will be a pleasant surprise for a few of our drivers who get to see the course up ahead of them for the first time in a considerable amount of stages. Punji there across the line, 5:28.1. Adam Sanderson will not be far behind him in terms of course, but it probably will be a considerable amount of time as he's already crossed that delta. 5 minutes 40 is where he finds himself at the moment, approaching the finish line now with just about a kilometre, well, half a kilometre to go, do you reckon?
He's quite close to the finish, that's for sure. He's well within the last sector. I'd estimate maybe 6 seconds to go as Punju completes just outside of the top 60 there. I think 67th place. 43 seconds off the pace. Possibly a few mistakes there. I see a 5-second penalty, so a reset penalty there, which we did not see. So a few mistakes coming in there, but obviously the darkness and the blind crests, once again, I'll mention them again because they are so treacherous. And most drivers will just want to complete these stages and then get to these stages where they can actually see what's happening in front of them and hopefully avoid the trees then. But obviously, Dirk Chocolate there off screen, just missing the junction as well, but he's got back on course now. And let's have a look then. 142nd place, 11-second reset penalty. And obviously the engine sort of down on power, overheating will not help on this stage at all.
Yeah, on the right-hand side of your screen there, Ancephalosis, 44th on the leaderboard. Can't quite see the time. There we go, 5 minutes and 18 seconds, about 33 minutes off the fastest time in this stage at the moment. And speaking of time, Dirk Chocolate's just about to register his for this stage. Across the line he comes, a 5 minutes 33. I think he'll be pleasantly relieved, shall we say, with that time at the moment as he comes to approach the marshals to finish off the stage. I wonder if we can get a look and see whereabouts that places him for this stage. If I can have a quick look, wait for the time to come up on the screen. 5 minutes 33, just a reminder, of course, of that time. Hopefully he flicks through it quick enough. If not, I might be able to get there before he does. 5 minutes 33, that will put him around P84, if I'm correct.
Yes, you just missed it by a couple of seconds there, calling it out, but at P84 it looks like on the leaderboard. That is not a bad time at all in the Renault 5, which can be quite tricky going uphill as well, as we see Gretsch on the screen here with the Ascona. Let's see how he negotiates this very difficult junction. Oh, just on the inside there, clipping it perfectly, however. And you can see how smooth the driving is, how he's carrying the momentum here. Some of our drivers not managing to get the throttle application perfect, but the Ascona seems to be a very balanced car, slightly down on power, it must be said, but he is carrying all of this momentum and making it work. This could be a very fast time, using all of the track as well, just putting 2 wheels on the outside on the dirt, and this is going to be across the line. This is going to be an absolutely incredible time, I think. From what we've seen of it, that car looks undamaged, so this could be a very, very quick run. The times obviously will have a lot of variations and a lot of difference between them, just because of the technicality of these tracks. 18th place, 18 seconds off of the lead, and on this stage, and as you can see, a very dominant stage for the Ford Escort with that extra bit of power, extra bit of grip. However, Baconator at the top in the Stratos, so it is possible to win with an older, less powered car.
Yeah, Baconator actually taking the complete timings of all of the stages at the moment, and he is over a minute clear of his nearest competition when all things conclude at the end of stage 8. Punju and Adam Sanderson then will be soon departing off for stage number 6. 7.4 kilometers to come. Unfortunately, the sun is starting to rise over the hills of Portugal here. Adam Sanderson actually setting off slightly before Punju wants to, but nonetheless, they will get going and they will begin to rally. What is in store for them here? 7.4 kilometers. Again, it looks like a very similar stage to one we've seen, but already into a boulder is Adam Sanderson. The gasp of air, you can tell that his face tells the entire story there. An unfortunate start for the Lancia driver.
Yeah, that went wrong even before the corner there. I think they thought they were going onto that gravel track next to the course, and by the time they realised that they had to turn onto the tarmac road, it was far too late, and the car just sliding sideways across the tarmac and into that rock there. Thankfully, everything that could be damaged has been damaged on the front of that car, so no additional problems, but it won't help the existing problems, as it looks like Punju really, really struggling. So the difficulty here actually is the dust on the outside of the corners. You really want to stick to the inside of the tarmac. It can be a bit paradoxical in terms of the only tires you need to worry about is the exterior tires. So the front tires have, the inside tires have no grip at all anyway. So you may as well place them on the dirt and have the grip on the outside, because if you go to the outside, one, you have rocks or barriers to crash into, and two, you'll have no grip anyway. So a very complex stage. You're going downhill as well, so braking into this turn in a minute for Punju is very, very tricky. It looks like Adam Sanderson's having a bad time. Punju nearly into the barrier. Credit to him, he recovered it, and it looks like they're on the same portion of track here. So that's full. I think Adam Sanderson might have had to stop for a puncture or something, but you can see how snappy that Lancia is. Punju had no trouble negotiating that corner, whereas Adam Sanderson, as soon as he turned in, the car just snapped oversteered and he had to recover it. So very, very tricky, and I think he'll be very relieved to get a new set of tyres on the car at the end of this stage. As he's overshot the junction as well into the wall, just as I said that. And it goes from bad to worse, doesn't it? Once your confidence is knocked in these cars, you start making mistakes, and yeah, it's not going well.
Yeah, Punju perfectly navigating the right-hander there. Adam Sanderson, I think, got a little bit distracted by chat. You can see him after the crash just immediately talking up to the camera, maybe just getting the excuses in early for the beautiful purple and yellow livery, obviously the replication of the Connor Sport colours for what he once drove. But both of them, again, navigating this downhill section. Punju using all of the grassy verges available to him, as is Adam on the right-hand side. But both of them, again, just getting as locked in as they possibly can through this stage.
Yeah, one of the most common... Oh, was Adam Sanderson's big off again. He's lost the entire front bumper now, and that is going to be a huge amount of damage. Crack on the windscreen. It looks like clipped to rock, and then the car just started bouncing off of the track and various obstacles there and off down the side. He managed to recover it, but it's going from bad to worse. This is a stage to forget, that's for sure. And I was about to mention one of the most common bits of damage you can get in real life with these stages, this rally, is suspension damage and steering damage. So many times have we seen a car just clip a small rock and get irreparable damage. Some of these drivers might be worrying actually about how much damage they've accumulated and whether they can actually fix it in the last service to maybe just go for some power stage points if they've had a bad rally.
Yeah, that's something I manage to get quite frequently when I've attempted some of these rally runs here, is often suspension damage, wondering why all of a sudden my wheels won't turn the way I want them to. And nonetheless, for our creators here, it's definitely a possibility, if not a high risk for most of them. But on the bottom of your screens, Dirt Chocolate, who was almost running perfect lines into the trees, he goes after just a kick out from the rear of that Renault 5 Turbo. He was looking so happy, and I think maybe a brief moment of distraction just sent him into the trees on the left-hand side. He was going so fast, so flowing, but this time around, it's not going to be the perfect run that he was hoping for. He'll continue down, though. He's still in high spirits. I think at this point, he just wants to get to that end of stage marker on the right-hand side of your screens. I had it so much during the stage. We've got it wrong now. Encephalosis. There we go. Got it back. Just to navigate about halfway mark of stage number 6 here, just navigating their way through the hills, and again, nothing seemed to be phasing them. The precise inputs on the wheel still being a determining factor in their overall speed.
I will be honest, a lot of drivers that we see competing in the WRC actually love competing in historic rallies with rear-wheel drive cars like the Renault 5 Turbo, like the Lancia Stratos, especially like the BMW E30. Two drivers which really loved competing, Craig Breen, who's sadly no longer with us, but also Thierry Neuville as well, often do historic rallies. One, to hone their skills, because driving a historic rally car, a rear-wheel drive car, is so difficult. It can help them learn techniques or relearn certain techniques they might have driven out of their driving style in attempts to find more speed. And Craig Breen used it to great effect to sort of revitalize his driving style and get that splendid result, sadly, just before his passing away in Rally Sweden. And so these types of cars are extremely fun to drive. And so I'm sure that even if they're having a few bad stages, they'll still be smiling. It certainly looks like Dirk is having the time of his life. And Cephalosis concentrated still in the stage, but you'll see that smile come out as soon as he gets across the line.
Yeah, just going through the water trap there was Encephalosis as well. Dirt Chocolate up to the master post, 4 minutes 56 for himself. We can have a quick check of where that comes up on the leaderboard in a brief moment in time. But Encephalosis on the final part of the stage, well, massive clip on the rear there for that BMW M3, and through the trees in the shrubbery he goes. I don't think there's going to be too much damage to worry about for himself, but certainly not a small hit by either means. Dirt Chocolate just scrolling through the leaderboard, trying to find his name. And I wonder if we'll be able to stop and just check where everybody else is. We'll keep an eye on the right-hand side, though, as Encephalosis comes down to finish off their stage, respectively.
Yes, they'll be looking at the times, just checking for other competitors, checking for other parts and members of this broadcast. And obviously the rivalry, you really want to beat your fellow competitors, especially on live stream. So I'm sure they'll be scrolling through those leaderboards, every single one of them, to see. And Encephalosis across the line looks pretty calm, actually, behind the wheel. Had a lot to say, so possibly some comments on how the car's handling, how that stage felt, possibly. They're also commenting on maybe on how the tires are absolutely shot and they need a new set. Most of our drivers will be switching over to the hard tires, so the balance of the car will be changing. And it looks like he's in top 100 anyway for Encephalosis.
Yeah,
and
from what I can tell. Apologies.
Nope, my apologies. Go ahead.
From what I can tell, Punju wins out that stage in terms of our creators. I think 36th place for himself, if we exclude the guys that aren't running this live at the moment. So Punju finished that with a time of 4 minutes 49. So a fantastic run from themselves. Actually just beaten out by Monkey Matt. 4 minute 49.5 compared to a 4 minute 49.8. So there's only 3 tenths in it. And Punju actually missing a door there on the left-hand side. So maybe some weight saving for the BMW driver, or maybe a bigger clip than expected with a wall on the right-hand side. But both of them now into a service area, getting ready to go once again for the final 2 stages, the longest stages on this rally. Yeah, we're gonna get someone. We're gonna get Adam in for a quick chat just before. Oh, he's muted up.
Oh, sorry, I heard
catch
that.
him.
Hello.
We've managed to catch him before he goes. Adam, first of all, so far, how's the rally gone for yourself?
So, there were a couple of stages that I believe were world class, right? And there were also a couple of stages that I believe deserve to stay in the bin. Apparently, my chat's been keeping me updated as to when I'm on stream for you guys. So I'll be interested to see what you guys thought and said when you saw me plow into numerous big boulders and ruin my steering rack over and over again. That stage I've just done, that my steering was gone for all of it. I couldn't get it stopped, so I turned.
Yeah, there was a couple of moments where we were questioning. The one I want to pull your mind back to was when you actually managed to get lost in amongst the town.
Yeah. Where do you go? Like my co-driver was saying turn left, and I was like, okay, I'm waiting for a left turn, and it was just wall. I was like, well, there's wall there. Why are you asking me to go left? So I went, hang on, let me just reverse a bit, and then it like said, oh my god, you're going the wrong way. So it gave me a penalty for it, and I was like, well, I can only go right, so I'm going to go right, and then it skipped two suggested turns, left, right, and then that was it. I was back on track. I was like, I don't understand. It was telling me to go left, but whatever. Fine. I was trying to listen to my co-driver.
Yeah. Looks like the GPS needed a bit of a software update there. But yeah, in terms of the overall sort of driving at the moment, I will say the roleplay of Devin Butler's career is entirely on point at this point. You know, a few great drives, as you said. I can totally agree with that. I must admit, watching you try to handle the car, the Lancia Stratos, one of the most difficult cars to drive, watching you just try and correct the car, try and save it, and as you said, also sometimes you just can't. So is there anything you're able to do to make the car a bit more drivable? Any sort of technique you're using?
Well, to be honest with you, what I would really have liked to have done is set up something, and you can see my throttle and brake input. I'm all over the place down there in a good way, just trying to get the car rotated, because this is a rear wheel drive car, and as I'm getting more and more used to how the car feels and how the game feels, to be honest, I haven't played it in 3 weeks, even though I absolutely adore it. Obviously the Formula 1 game sort of runs my life at the moment. Yeah, the more I play it, the more I realize I could do different things, like because I'm not using any of the assists, no traction, no ABS, unlike some of the creators here tonight. Okay, so because of that, I'm able to use the trail braking and lock up my rears as and when I need to and want to, and spin them out to get myself back on track. But what I am struggling with is sometimes when I go either around hairpins or go off track or whatever, the car just shuts off. And I think it's because I'm not keeping the revs high enough at certain points. So I'm just trying to modulate that a little bit more.
Amazing stuff. Well, we won't hold you for too long. I saw Punju has, I believe, set off on their stage. So we'll let you head off.
I'll catch him. Don't worry about
it. For the final two, the longest stages on this rally. Just in a couple of words, how are you looking forward to those long stages?
Love it. I'm going to protect my steering rack. That's the two things I need to do.
Amazing stuff. Best of luck, Adam. And I'm sure we'll speak to you at the end.
See you later.
Oh, fantastic stuff. Well, you mentioned the steering rack issues as a possibility earlier on in the stream, Isa. It appears that Adam Sanderson has definitely fallen victim to it.
Yeah, we have telepathic brains at this point. I'm communicating with the drivers in real time, apparently. I wish I had that skill, genuinely, but sadly I don't. I just appear to be able to sort of see what the problems are. It's actually quite easy to see where the problems are with a rear-wheel drive car compared to four-wheel drive, because sort of the corners are a lot lower speed. You have to actually make your inputs sooner because the car doesn't turn immediately, so you can see and kind of figure it out. As I think Punju's got a bit of an issue there, maybe with his gearbox. Yes, he does have a gearbox issue here in terms of hardware. The gears are not being able to be selected. I thought there was a problem when in the first corner, while we were having that interview, he went straight out of the gate and on the first corner hit one of the bollards on the inside, just straight into it, and it looked like a very, very strange thing to happen, because normally you want to go wide in that corner and not to the inside. So I think he might have lost drive completely, and it looks like that gearbox might be on its way out. I hope not for Punju, but we'll have to catch back up with him. Still paused for the moment. So Adam Sanderson almost going way off the cliff there as well off screen, as we've got Dirk and Antiphalosis once again on camera here. Antiphalosis nearly swapping ends, as we've seen that BMW do that quite a bit. I expected it a lot more from the Stratos and the Renault 5 Turbo, but it seems to be the other way round, which is interesting.
Yeah, indeed it does. You can see him there driving with one hand, even when the steering wheel is pretty much at a 180-degree lock, if not further. But Dirk Chocolate taking some creative lines through the grass and the shrubbery here in Portugal, up back on towards the straight and narrow, so to speak, for himself. Punju has finally got himself going up in the top left-hand side of the screen, and I think his shifter is working. It is indeed. You can see him drop from third to first into second now, and that shifter back working again on the top right, though. Adam Sanderson once again mimicking the Italian job, dangling off the side of a cliff. Fortunately, though, managed to get himself driving forward once again. This stage surely will be catching creators out. 16.7 kilometers long, partly cloudy, and of course in the morning, so that sunlight will be in their eyes for certain parts of this run. Up the hill they go, though. Both Punju and Adam Sanderson managing so far to keep it on the virtual racetrack.
Yes, it also includes about a 2 to 3 kilometer section towards the end, which cannot be driven apart from practicing this stage. So you can practice the shorter stages, but it takes a different route, would you believe, in going the other side of the mountain effectively with the course. And so those 2 or 3 kilometers, even if you've practiced these stages on the shorter versions, you will not know, and that could catch you out, especially seeing as it's quite a high-speed section with a lot of blind crests. And as you can see, going down the hill now, one of the fastest parts of Rally Portugal, and Adam Sanderson going... I cannot believe it. He has gone all the way through the shrubbery and back onto the course. Amazing stuff. Proper Italian job stuff right there. Look at that.
Indeed it is, from one extreme to the other. The shock on his face, you can see the excitement kicking up into his eyes as he realises what he's just been able to do. He went through the grass. The game tried to tell him that he was going the wrong way, but he said, no, I'm going to get back on the gravel, and indeed he did, flying through the hills of Portugal here, and a very fantastic result for himself. Punju on the left-hand side, going through a more technical aspect at the moment, through the right and the left, quite swiftly, one after another, but so far so good for himself. The focus on those eyes. You can see the head move, the head bobble as the car is moving around on him, but those eyes, watch them. They are pointed dead ahead. He is not letting the horizon get out of his eye line as he watches exactly what is ahead of the car.
Yes, a famous saying, I think it was by Walter Roll, but if you have flies on the side of the car, you were going fast enough, and that certainly represents these things in a nutshell. You've got to always be power sliding them, always keeping on throttle, essentially, and it just leads to absolutely mesmerising moments like you're seeing right now, where the drivers appear to be totally out of control, and yet they keep it on course, which is lovely to see. I think also the FIA phone will be ringing a lot for Adam Sanderson's interpretive track limits, let's call it. So we'll have to wait and see for that one. But yeah, really interesting to see the sort of commitment here now that they've got good visibility, now that maybe they even know the course a little bit better, and going downhill you can carry a lot more speed as Punju for the second time in this stage. And this might actually be, oh no, he's managed to get it reset. I thought it might be the same situation as Kamikaze had earlier, but luckily, well, unluckily for the crash, but luckily for the reset, he's managed to get back on track. So the downhill section not being kinder to the drivers, I withdraw my statement.
Yeah, it was all going so well until it wasn't going so well for Punju, and in this turn of phrase at the bottom, Dirk Chocolate and Ancephalosis both starting off their runs 4 minutes in for both of them respectively, approaching kind of that 5-minute mark as well. So actually all of our creators on the screen at the moment similarly in similar progress in terms of their start times, not necessarily the same in terms of progress on the rally. Top left of the screen, Punju is into a wall once again, and it feels, well, you can see in the car, a little bit of a wobble. So I wonder if there's a little bit more damage than the game is letting on for our point of view. Everyone else getting themselves nice and accustomed with the gravel hills of Portugal. Through the town goes Adam Sanderson, just kissing some walls, making sure the locals are aware of his presence.
I think, sadly, sometimes during the corner he might be getting a box full of neutrals. I noticed when he had that spin, he shifted briefly into neutral. And that can mean that the car just loses power to the differential, and the wheels just rotate on you, and the car rotates with the wheels, and then you're straight into the wall. So maybe a few more problems. I'm not quite sure. Maybe an intermittent issue. Doesn't seem to be hampering him too much, but certainly when you're distracted by that, you can have a loss of confidence, and then the thing just snowballs, or tumbleweeds, actually, more for Portugal. So it can be very, very difficult, as we can see Dirk full opposite lock there over the jump, which caught him out previously in the other direction. But that was a neat save right there, as Ancephalosis did a 360 off camera in the same place at near enough the same time. I cannot quite believe it. We're getting all of the spectacular stuntman driving at this point, and that's exactly what we wanted from these cars.
Indeed it is. They quite often say motorsport is poetry in motion, and I think they've taken a little more liberal approach to it this time around here in the WRC event, both of them taking some creative interpretations to the words written, and so far so good for both of them, making their way through just about a third way through their stage, once again through the shrubbery for Ancephalosis, but nonetheless I'm sure it won't be hampering his progress all too much. Up the hill they climb once again. Just the rear end kicking out for that BMW, but nothing he can't handle. Maybe the longer stages will catch some of our drivers out here, Isa.
Most definitely. When you've been used to the previous stages, which we've had 6 stages, very short, most of them, about 7 to 8 kilometers. It happened to me during my run. I got to the midsection of this stage and I thought, oh yeah, this is the finish line, the stage is over. And I immediately drove off the next corner because I thought the finish line was there, and it definitely was not there. So you can get into a routine, you can get into a rhythm that is no longer adapted, and we can see, well, we'll be able to see at the end of the stage whether that's affected more drivers. Maybe they're a bit more talented than me. I'm sure they are, so we'll have to wait and see on that one, as Kamikaze, a little bit of damage there, hampering his visibility, it looks like. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. Gresh looks like he's absolutely doing a stellar job as usual, and the top 2 drivers in terms of speed at the top of our screen just there. And onto, again, you've got so much in terms of 16 kilometers here. You've got not only the length of it, but you've got the changes of surface, as we can see from Kamikaze. You've got the elevation and blind crests like we've seen in all the other stages so far. But also, you've got the overheating tires that you can have sometimes. Portugal very, very tough on tire wear, as Kamikaze just getting it too wrong, and I think that the tires are absolutely cooked at this stage on the tarmac. So he's demonstrating what I'm talking about, and say no more, basically.
Yeah, indeed. Like you said, this rally covers a little bit of everything. A change in surface, a change in elevation, of course, a change in difference as well. Kamikaze, we're being told, is on stage 8. Obviously, after that earlier tow to the nearest service station, he got himself going a little bit prematurely compared to some of our other drivers, but that means he's pretty much towards the end of this rally as he crosses about halfway in that 14.8 kilometer stage. Ponte de Lima to finish off the Portugal rally on the right-hand side. Well, now the top right-hand side. Legresh on a similar sort of point, but on stage 7, bottom right and bottom left, respectively. Adam Sanderson and Punju, they are still firmly on stage number 7. Again, at roughly the same point. Bear in mind they started at the same time. Adam Sanderson just about a minute ahead in terms of time, but reset penalties and other factors will come into that. Punju looks to have got some bonnet damage. You can see the bonnet flying up in the jumps and the bumps that he navigates through, and that surely will be hampering his view ever so slightly.
Yes, most definitely. You want all the visibility that you can get. Thankfully, it only looks to be hampering him in the braking zones, maybe. If my memory serves me correct, in a few kilometers' time is where the section appears where you cannot practice it apart from driving this specific stage. So it'll be interesting to see whether any people have some sort of mishaps during that section. But this Punja will want this stage to go quite well for him, because this is where he had all of the crashes beforehand, and it looks like Adam Sanderson has crashed, and has he taken a puncture or something? I am not quite sure, but it looks like he's had quite a bit of a mishap there, sadly. As he said, the car difficult to drive. It happens, and I'm sure he'll be looking for a better power stage. That's for sure.
Yeah, unfortunate for himself, of course. If you are new here to the EA Sports Creator Series WRC event, the final stage is a great opportunity for our creators to get some bonus points in terms for who completes that stage the fastest. So it's not necessarily how fast you complete all of the stages combined. That final stage is some bonus points for our driver. And sometimes it has been known to come down to someone completely unexpected. Adam Sands on the right there, not quite linking up the rights and the left, the tricky bit of chicane that he saw ahead of him. But nonetheless, he keeps going. Punju on the left-hand side, still just holding on. But as I said, that bonus stage, those bonus points in the final stage, really can come in crucial, come in clutch for some of our drivers.
Yeah, somebody that will not be getting bonus points, I don't think, is Kamikaze, because in stage 8, jumping a bit ahead of our drivers here, he has made a major mistake, and I think has decided to throw in the towel a little bit, because he sat doing donuts for about 15 seconds where he made that mistake. So showboating to the crowd. To be fair, he stopped in an area where there's a lot of crowd, so definitely doing us proud in terms of entertainment. But he looks to be back underway now, but unfortunately for him, that's not going to be a stage-winning time, sadly. Right towards the end of it as well, if you look to the top left there. Gresh absolutely nailing those couple of turns as well that we could see just at the top of the hill here. And the Ascona looks like the easiest car to drive so far. I haven't seen many moments from it, but just being hampered by that lack of power. Again, the car choice in these stages is literally a risk versus reward. If you want to go fast, you take something like the Mark II Escort, the Lancia Stratos, the Renault 5 Turbo that are really difficult to handle. Or do you want to go smooth and consistent, profit from other people's mistakes, go with the BMW, go with the Sierra Cosworth, which we have not seen on broadcast, or go with the Ascona?
That's the question our drivers will be asking. And of course, maybe some retrospect coming into it as well at the end of these stages. But Gresh managing to navigate that Opel rather well through the Portuguese hills. Everyone, I think, has come to terms with the car choice so far through this rally. Kamikaze in that BMW, about to finish off stage number 8. As you said, some showboating to the crowd. Maybe some donuts to chuck in there as well. But I think he'll be happy just to get to the end of the line. He knew the stage, or the rally overall, was never going to be too competitive after the earlier reset or the tow back to the service area that he had to take. But nonetheless, he did finish. He manages to get to the end in just a couple of corners time, and that in itself is a good achievement when it comes to the WRC Creator Series events.
Yes, a lot of people struggling in these last couple of not corners, stages. There you go, there's the word. The commentary on point today, no worries. But my point was going to be, as we see, not even the spectacular across the line. It's all gone wrong for Kamikaze. Aye, what a shame for Kamikaze. I can see the frustration, I can see the disappointment, but not always can it go your way, and we've seen some spectacular drives from him in the past, so I'm sure it'll come right again, but obviously not this time, sadly. I was going to mention both Punju and Adam Sanderson have had spins off camera, so they're really struggling. I think Adam Sanderson has just recovered from one once again, as Punju across the line for stage 7, so he has successfully completed stage 7. And Adam Sanderson looks like he's just getting to the end of it as well. We'll be able to get their times. But yeah, bitter disappointment there for Kamikaze. And we'll be able to compare his time to other people's times at the end of the next stage. As FIA number 2 for Adam Sanderson. I'm sure that phone will be ringing, asking for an interpretive penalty to the interpretive driving.
Yep, the FIA definitely have Adam Sanderson's number, but not necessarily from WRC, maybe from other events here on the Creator Series channel, quite often known to be causing hijinks in the Formula 2 and the Formula 1 as well. But nonetheless, I'm sure the same stewards or at least the same organisational body will be calling up Adam later on just to ask for insight into maybe some decision making. But nonetheless, across the line he comes, 15 minutes and 4 seconds for the Connosport inspired livery. Up the hill he climbs towards the marshal points, and from his face, it's a fairly neutral finish to that rally. Maybe not too happy, not too disappointed either.
Yeah, Punju with the broad grin on his face. And yeah, it looks like he's had a fun stage, no matter the result. That's what we want to see at the end of the day. We just love rally in all its aspects, and sometimes if it doesn't go right for you, at least you can have a fun little drive in a BMW or a Lancia or whatever takes your fancy, for that matter. Dirk looks like he has completed the stage as well. He is looking at Punju's time, 83rd. Well, looking at Dirk's screen here, this is good. We get a different time from a different driver. Wonderful stuff. And it looks like Dirk Chocolate was just behind in 86th, as I can see. So very, very close. I think we can get an interview from Mr. Kamikaze right now, perhaps. Indeed, we can. Hello, Mr. Kamikaze. I don't know what to say. Very unlucky result. First of all, for that rollover that we saw earlier on, and then I don't know what to say about that last stage. Just off camera, the spin and I must say the donuts very, very good. I'll give you a 10 out of 10 for that one. That was impressive. For the virtual crowd as well. The finish across the line, maybe I can give you some tips about that one, but an unfortunate rally for you, it must be said.
Yeah. We can start with the roll. It was so slow, so I don't know what to do. I think I go 4 kilometers an hour and just roll over on the roof. So yeah, not a rally for us, but okay. We gonna meet up prepared next time. My favorite rally, my favorite car. So watch out, guys.
Oh, fighting talk. TK, take it away.
Oh yeah, no, just unlucky. I'm sharing Eyes Amusing sentiments when it comes to the end of the rally, and by the sound of it, it's points at the end of the day. I'm sure in terms of at least one on the Creator Series standings. But you were in 7th place before all of this kicked off. Maybe, well, are you hoping to? I'm sure you're hoping to stay there after everyone else in the club has run their times.
I wish everyone the best of luck in stage 8, and we end up where we end up. That's the whole spirit. The rally give you a struggle from the start of the start line in stage 1. I don't like Portugal. I don't like the car class, so we just had to do what it is. So you have fun anyway. The car is good to drive. The stage is awesome, but I just can't Portugal. I can't. I had never driven the stages, so yeah, first time A stages in a row.
Well, commiserations overall, but we look forward to seeing you back here once again next week for, of course, I believe it's Rally Estonia next week in the WRC 2 cars, and that reaction on the camera is all I need to know about how much you're looking forward to it. As always, a pleasure to talk to you, Kamikaze, and best of luck.
Thank you. See you next time.
See you next time. Amazing stuff. All of our drivers, I think, heading out on their final stage now. Punju, Adam Sanderson, respectively, on the left and right hand side of your screen. Punju, there we go. Full screen picture, not even full focus at the moment. There's a bit of swagger about him this time around. Maybe a little bit more relaxed going into this, Isaac.
Well, to be fair, when the bonnet is flapping around like that and you can't even see over it, you may as well look at chat because there's not much to see on the road, so fair play to him. I will say just a quick comment for Kamikaze. The one thing that I wanted to hear was that he had had fun through all of the difficulties, all of the problems and all of that. The one thing that rally can always bring to you is a bit of fun, and for Dirk Chocolate, that is not a bit of fun, I must say. That's probably a puncture, sadly. Yeah, it is a puncture, and no spare. Oh no. No spare tire. I cannot believe it. That's going to be so tricky to drive with a rear puncture, and oh, dearie me, I do not want to be in his shoes right now. As Punju's off as well. Punju rolled, doing a barrel roll through the stage. It looks like he's got away with it, shaking his head a little bit. Adam Sanderson missed the junction, the same junction again. It's all kicking off just in the space of 2 seconds. Dirk's really struggling already with the car. That tire will just rip off the rim, I think. Before the end of the tarmac section. He might actually struggle to get to the end of the stage because of the traction issues that I mentioned, but we'll have to wait and see. But, you know, every driver will probably say to you at the end of this that they had a lot of fun because these cars are like old school, almost like enough Formula One cars, but you can get the same level of enjoyment just chucking them sideways, applying too much power, and just having doing interpretive driving as we previously described.
Indeed, it's well, we've seen some drivers have some struggles on the final stage before, and it's something that I've jokingly dubbed FSS, or final stage syndrome, here in the WRC commentary booth. A few of our drivers having just hairy moments in the times, and there we go, Punju off again, a massive impact on the left hand side, massive impact on the right, bouncing to the left, just having to spin the car 180 degrees before getting going again, not even at the halfway stage as we cross the 3.5 minute time mark for himself. The time to beat for this stage. It's a roll. Oh, is he going to land on the right way up? Yes, he does. Just managing to keep it on all four wheels, but definitely going to be another knock to the confidence after what was already a bad start to the stage.
Yeah, it could be fatigue for the drivers because obviously the blind crest and all that means that you have to react to what's happening rather than anticipate, and sometimes it can just take it out of you in terms of your concentration, in terms of even just muscle fatigue, really, because you're having to react so fast. He's got radiator damage as well to add to his problems, long list of problems at this stage. But you know, Rally Portugal is known as a car breaker. So many times have we seen, and it looks like it's all over for Dirk. I don't think he can continue driving that car. It's going to be a nightmare. He can't even get any traction. The wheel just spinning up, and with only 2 driven wheels, it's looking like that might be DNF. He's got it going though. It looks like it's okay. Oh, a moment for a cephalosis. I thought he was going into a roll, but he manages to recover it, just putting a little bit of counter steer just to recover the car onto 2 wheels and keep going. Dirk's still going as well, but it looks like he's taking a Sunday drive. And cephalosis, a spin. I can't possibly keep up with the commentary here. So much is happening at the same time, but I kind of feel bad for the drivers, to be honest. They've done so well up until this point, and just when they feel safe, all of this starts happening.
Yeah, I think that's the trap you can quite often fall into in rally. When it starts to feel easy, when it starts to feel like the going is good, that's when the mistakes will come in, and they will come in thick and fast, especially for some of our drivers. Legresh on the top-hand side of your screen, still in that chase cam, absolutely flying through the field. It impresses me every single time I see them drive it, because it's so different from what we've seen week in, week out, and Cephalopus. I've got it wrong again on the final stage, but nonetheless we'll keep going. A little bit of a hairy moment in the bottom right hand side of your screens there. Adam Sanderson, what was temporarily facing the wrong way here on this rally, but everyone making all those minor mistakes which really add up. Punju spinning the car again, another massive impact to the front of that BMW as he completes the 360 onto the asphalt, and eyes are here. Mistakes are really leading to mistakes.
Yes, well, damage for one, and just I think also tyre wear, because we've had this is the longest loop I think on the set of tyres, about 30 kilometers, and the very coarse gravel, and Punju just off the road once again on the cobblestones, must be said though. So once he started sliding, absolutely no grip. It's a terrible shame for some of them. However, that is the nature of rally. To finish first you have to finish. And it looks like half of our drivers, at least, are pointing the right way. I think Adam Sanderson, for the 3rd time this rally, has crashed into that gatepost on that tarmac section, because that is very tricky.
Indeed it is. It's one thing after another at the moment for Adam Sanderson. If it's not a gate post, it's a spin. And as we say that, it's an almost full roll. It was very close indeed.
It's the same corner. It's the same corner where he went off. Because he's going to come up to the junction now. Yeah, here's the junction. It's the exact same corner. And there's the telegraph pole that you mentioned at the start of it.
He barely missed that telegraph pole for round number 2 for himself. He lets the telegraph pole live another day. Everyone else making their way through. Ancephalopis. I'm giving up on pronouncing the name correctly here. Just managing their way through the town, nice and easy for themselves. They've had a fairly uneventful rally, all things considered, in their in appearance here in the Creator Series.
Yeah, it's difficult when you have a car choice that suits you. You can overperform and sort of give an impression that you're good in every single car.
Dirk's out.
Dirk's out. Oh no. what an incredible shame for Dirk. He was doing so well in that Renault 5 Turbo, but the Widowmaker sadly has taken its name to full extent. We might be able to get them in for an interview.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, Dirk Chocolate, welcome in. We'll pour you in for an interview before the feelings and the emotions set in too much. Talk us through what happened. Oh my goodness.
That happened. That happened. Oh.
I have no words. I have no words to describe what I've just seen there.
I was flying. Oh, literally. I was feeling so good and I had no grip. No grip. And the grid just goes.
Yeah, well, this car is known as the Widowmaker, and unfortunately, it's taken its name very seriously there. Looks like, unfortunately, just a wheel onto the dirt on the outside, and that was enough. But, I mean, I must admit, just so unlucky to find the only rock within about 100-meter vicinity there. So, I mean, what could be more representative of this country and this car class? Like, just... You can do everything perfectly, and yet all it takes is 2 seconds of luck to run out, and it can be over like that. And I do feel tremendously sorry for you.
You know what I will say that it's taught me, considering we were in the dead tires. Today was the first time everything clicked, and I was driving, and I was like, I get it now, and I'm actually like happy because I hated like practicing with this car. And now that I've like done some laps with it, I'm kind of like, I don't think there's any other car I can drive apart from front wheel drive because they can get in the bin. Anything that I can drive that I wouldn't be too worried about. I'm actually like looking forward to the next rally because if I practice just a little bit more, I think if I had the confidence that I had now at the start of the stage, I would have wiped the floor with Punju easily. I was doing this with that car.
Throwing shade right from the start. We love to see it. But of course, early shower for yourself right at the end there. What happened? There was a puncture early on. I'm assuming that was from the flip. And then was the car pretty much undrivable from there on out?
Do you look at my rear front left there? There is no tyre. There is no tyre. Yeah, so at that point, I was just like, it's just that. I was just going to do anything. So I'm just kind of like, do I just take it to the end? We'll try to take it to the end. And I think the car flipped on me and just went sideways. And then I was crawling, and I was like, I just want to get to the end. And I realized it'll take me about 20 minutes. And I went, okay, let's call it a day. Never mind. Just deflating. There it is. Look, it's not even moving! I'm in 5th gear!
It started off so well for you, Dirk, and it's such a shame to see you finish like that. But it's fantastic to see you keeping your head held high in such an event. And of course, looking forward to coming back next week. We got the WRC2 cars.
Where are we next week?
Estonia.
Estonia.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't look.
The answer says it.
I will come back stronger because I will put practice in. I figured out setups and WRC now, so I'm gonna put time in, put a setup in, and get a car that I'm happy with, and I'll absolutely kill it next week. There we go.
That's the spirit. Isaac, anything just to finish off with Dirk here?
Well, I mean, even though the results might not reflect it, the gain in confidence, the gain in understanding only bodes well, and at some point it's got to go right. So next week, it looks like that's your week to make that all happen, and I hope that it does happen for you, because the driving's been spectacular, the car control spectacular, the luck unspectacular, so if you can get all three together, it only bodes well.
Exactly. Just once I got it, we're good. I can't wait for it.
Amazing stuff. Well, we'll see you next week, Dirk, and go enjoy the rest of your evening. It's been fantastic.
Shall we, mate?
Oh, well, we saw Punju jumping over rocks earlier, and it is rocks that take Dirk Chocolate's run to a premature end here in Rally Portugal. Everyone else starting to come to the end of their stages. Punju there completing his. I'm not quite sure where he is on the leaderboard. From all I can see, behind you, Isa, Adam Sanderson on the right-hand side, finishing up the stage as well. So everyone just managing to get to the end here. It's round 6 of 8 possible events. Estonia to come still next week, of course. But for now, everyone coming to the end of their stage, I think they'll be relieved to get across that finish line.
Yeah, Gretchen doing donuts, the tradition now that we have to do at the end of Creator Series. It's he's wow, very, very close. I'm quite relieved that he's behind my time, to be honest. I'll take that one. Not going to lie. But yeah, I must admit, these cars, I do love them. I love the old school stuff because you can be so interpretive with the driving, just chuck it sideways or keep it clean. There's so many different techniques to use, and it's a great learning car. It's very difficult, don't get me wrong, but once you know the techniques, then you switch to four-wheel drive cars or even to front-wheel drive cars, and it's relatively easy, and then you just have to learn to get the pace up. So these cars are just bread and butter for me, to be honest. And yeah, Gresh, though, it must be said, to do that time in Opel Ascona, I'm wiping my forehead right now.
A little bit of nerves and a little bit of competitive glory. Let's get someone in for a chat. Gareth, our producer, I'll let you choose someone at random. See
I think
who
you must
we get
have.
in. Welcome in at the end here, and say, first of all, talk us through how the event went for yourself, and where did you end up finishing? We haven't quite caught that.
That's a great question. I'm not sure if I'm looking at the overall leaderboard here. Let me try to find that. Boop boop boop. So I think it went really well. Sorry, I don't know if I'm able to look at the final standings.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there it is. Yep, looks like I got 70th overall. Oh man, I am insanely happy with that. My mantra for the day, I kept repeating it to myself: no punctures, no major damage, and don't overdrive the car. And it ended up really paying off in troves. I mean, I was able to keep my pace up, didn't accumulate too much damage. I got a little afraid about halfway through, but I was able to keep it clean and repair the car up. And yeah, I kept my slow and steady pace, and I'm over the moon with 70th, honestly.
Yeah, I must say you're driving very smooth. I think the smoothest on broadcast here, and I think you minimized the time loss, to be fair, that other drivers were having just trying to recover the car, counter steer and all of that. It looks like a Sunday drive for you. We're one day a bit late for that, but most definitely. I will say just a unspectacular, but high performance run. Put it that way. And but my meaning of that is, I mean, as a compliment, really, because with these cars, you have to minimize the sort of time loss, and you did that to perfection, and it sort of reflects your time.
Thank you so much, man. That means a lot coming from you. Yeah, I was trying not to overdrive, and I think it paid off well. Thank you again for the kind words, man. Just happy to be here.
It's been fantastic having you here, and you've been such a great competitor through all of the stages, and hopefully we'll see you back again soon.
Awesome, man. I hope so too. Thank you very much for having me, guys.
Amazing stuff. Thank you so much, and we'll let you sign off and enjoy the rest of your evening.
To be fair to
thank you guys very much.
I'm happy to watch you drive as well. Let me add that in there. It was very, very good.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Again, it means a lot coming from you guys, so really appreciate it. And dude, Isa, I saw you up there in like 4th, 5th place on a lot of these wicked runs yourself, man. GG's.
We won't mention that. It's fine. Thank you.
You're very welcome, man. Thanks one more time for having me.
Pleasure to have you as well. Well, that is yeah. 2 more drivers to go for interviews. Well, I say 2 more. Adam Sanderson, unfortunately, has just muted up. So we'll get the man, the myth, the legend himself. We'll get Punju in for a quick chat. We'll get Lakresh as well in. I don't think we've spoken to them this evening, have we?
I don't think so. And he's vanished straight away.
They're on console. Yeah, you can't drag across on console.
Yeah, as fast as he was, he's out of the commentary booth even faster. So living up to his reputation, that's for sure. But yeah, let's try again.
Yeah, we'll give it a good old college, right? Nope.
And it's gone.
Doesn't like it. We'll get
let me
Punju in.
summarize. I'll summarize his interview briefly. It probably would have been something along the lines of the Opel Ascona was too slow. There you go. Probably what he would have said, knowing Lagresh. Hello, Mr. Punju. So,
How's it
talking
going?
of people who had a bit of an eventful event, how do you summarize your own? You have the best words normally to summarize it, so please go ahead and summarize it for us.
If I speak, I will be in big trouble. It was a. I like to call it a character building event. I think I've said that a few times this season. It was really fun. The car track combo is exceptional. But I had a bit of an issue where I don't know exactly what happened. I swear I put on hards for the shakedown, but they didn't give them to me. I guess it put me on mediums actually. So I ended up losing my strategy that I wanted of like the hard. Medium hard. So I had to go medium hard medium hard medium. These final two stages on mediums was not the play. Nope, not at all. It was impossible. So for those that got the hard for the final two stages, you're welcome for the strats. But it was not me. It was not me.
Yeah, we spoke kind of a few stages ago. We'll put it that way about potentially a not an involuntary differing strategy for yourself, obviously missing out or shall we say choosing the wrong tires hasn't quite paid off for you this time around, but nonetheless still a representative lap time from yourself, or not lap time, sector times for yourself.
Yeah, I mean they weren't really that bad. Like I think I made the most of the situation that I had. Like the final two stages were really bad, don't get me wrong, but everything up into that, 1 through 6 they were pretty good. I had a couple that were like really cooking. I was like, wow, okay, this is not too bad. I think I finished the event like 60-somethingth place, which is like honestly not too terrible for me on the overall. So yeah, there were a few that I was really, really flying. I think next week and the week after I have even better chances, especially next week, honestly. So yeah, I'm honestly just kind of I've been biding my time into these final 2 weeks. That's what I've been the most looking forward to. So yeah, such is life, and we ball.
Fantastic. Isaac.
You've demonstrated your possibility to fly over rocks. So in Estonia, where you have to fly in multiple places, we'll be watching out for those interpretive lines.
That's
and
it.
I can remember one place where you might have to avoid a hay bale, but we won't mention that until next week. So what do you think your chances are?
I was gonna say I know exactly what you're talking about. I go flat out to that corner. I think my chances next week are actually pretty good. It was the opening round for season 1 last season. We were obviously in different cars. We were in the WRC 1 cars, the Rally 1 cars, and I crushed. It was the only time that I ever had a stage win in a Creator Series event across the entire club. Now that was before we became a featured club, so it was a little smaller back then. It was a bit of a sandbag result, but neither here nor there. I think I'm pretty good. So I'm looking to do well next week, actually, like genuinely do well. So yeah.
Remember the
so
quote
far,
award.
every driver saying that they want to do well next week. This might be a showdown between our drivers. I'm looking forward to it.
I hope so. And Arrow will be back next week too. My little duke 'em up, scuff 'em championship rival. So yeah, it'll be good. He and I are level pegging, dead even on the creators standings. So it's tight.
It is indeed 2 rounds to go, of course. Rally Estonia next week. You said you're looking forward to it. Just rounding out the season, of course, we will have completed 8 events. We've had some fantastic guests in on the show as well. I don't want to take us too prematurely to the end of the season, but how do you think the past 6 events have gone? Let's try and sum that up.
Honestly, overall, it's been pretty great. The reception's been really good. It's really cool to see a lot of people having a lot of fun with it. I've definitely, had my jams for sure. I think I'm a little disappointed with myself for last week outside of all the rest of them, but the rest of them have just been so hard and unique car track combos that, we just gave it the best we could every single time we got a chance to get in the car, and worked out as good as it could have. But yeah, the final 2 rounds, like I said, those are the ones that I'm the most excited for. So the past is the past. Now it's time to look towards the future.
Amazing stuff. It's a pleasure as always, Punju, to come and have a chat with you at the end of the day. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
Yes, you'll see me next week. Adios.
Bye-bye for now. So
ma-
that was a Punju, a fantastic spirit as always. I think we're gonna have time to get Adam in, who did raid in. Well, just a quick shout out, Adam Sanderson's coming in with the party 15. Dirk raiding in with 30 viewers as well. Pleasure to have you both on the broadcast this evening. And Adam, welcome in for one
Hello.
final time this evening. Talk us through what happened.
Well, those final two stages were rather long. My tyres by the end of it were just non-existent. I felt I'd never really felt it where the tyres have just like gone, but I definitely felt it this time. The car got very hard to control, especially on the hairpins where I'd normally kick it out with the handbrake, feather the throttle. Just wasn't having it this time around. And again, it did some interesting resets to track when I was, to be honest, quite close to the line, but maybe I guess it just means I need to be a bit more strict with it. But it is what it is. But no, you know what? I will take that. I beat Dirk. That's all I care about.
It's all about those little victories in life, isn't
Oh,
it? And
yes.
I think there's one thing that we can say is that your driving with the Lancia Stratos was absolutely spectacular. Over the limits, as you said, sometimes, but honestly, that was so enjoyable to watch.
I appreciate it. It's good fun. It was good fun. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed. There was a jump throughout one of the middle stages that just felt so damn good. And there's a hairpin after. Oh, it's bliss. Absolute bliss. I had a great time. Great time.
Amazing stuff, Adam. It's always a pleasure to have you on the WRC broadcast. It didn't necessarily go your way, but you made it to the end, and that is all that matters here. And yeah, I'm sure we'll be seeing you again, hopefully in the next couple of weeks to finish off this season.
Oh, damn yeah. I'll be back. I will be back. And again, I might not win it, but I'll have fun while doing it.
Exactly. That is the spirit we love to see here at the Create Series. Adam, take care. Have a lovely evening, and
Cheers,
thank
man.
you
You
for
too.
joining.
Bye-bye.
I think that brings us to the end of our broadcast for this evening. Isa, of course, you've run the stages as well yourself, so I think you managed to top out the creator standings here for this evening. I think I haven't fact checked that. Don't quote me on it. But off an early guess, I'm going to say that you have. Talk us through how the rally went from your perspective, and why not? Let's interview you as well.
Oh, here we go. All right, we're changing. I don't have a cap for this one, but I would put a different cap on. The rally from my end, Renault 5 Turbo, so chaos, more chaos, a couple of trees, and a bit more chaos, really. The one thing that I like doing in these cars is going 110%, which is what I did right from the start. I didn't expect really to get a good result in this rally, but the car was okay, the stages were good, a few missed pace notes, somehow my brain didn't compute those, but we'll gloss over that, no worries with that at all. And I will be honest, I expected a few of the drivers to perhaps do a little bit better than they did, but then again, some of our other drivers did a lot better than even they predicted as well. And that's one of the things with rear-wheel drive cars and with older historic cars, is that they tend to throw up the unexpected, and you can never expect to have a good result. You can never expect a stable sort of uneventful rally, really. There will always be something in one corner that catches you out, and I think, in honesty, I just got a little bit lucky, and I'm hoping that luck carries over to other events. The leaderboard's looking extra spicy at the moment, so we will see. But that's the beauty of rally, is that you have to adapt, and we saw a lot of adaptations in this rally, a lot of spectacular drivings, and honestly, what more could you want?
Exactly. It's always a fantastic event to watch, and it's been amazing to watch here in Portugal this evening. But yeah, we'll sum up. That does bring an end to Rally de Portugal. Next up is Rally Estonia, same time, same place, next Monday evening. I'm sure you'll be able to join all of the same people, our lovely guests as well. And of course, the round after that will be our season closer. I'm sure we'll have a lot of guests in, like we did to round out season one. But for now, John, where can they find you if they want to check you out a little bit more?
And everything is amusing. The name's down there. If you use it on most social media, you'll be able to find some version of this mug here. So yes, usually accompanied by crashes, and more crashes, but I think I've already demonstrated that, to be fair. So yeah.
Fantastic stuff. If you want to see crashes, and more crashes, you can also check out all of the F1 Creator Series social media. All the links are above. There's YouTube, Instagram, X, and TikTok as well. All the highlights and everything goes on there. For myself, it's at They Call Me TK on pretty much all of the social medias. But for now, from all of us here, it's a massive shout out firstly to Gareth Allen, who's behind the scenes. He's done so much that people do not see. So massive shout out to him. He's in the chat, Twitch chat as well. Go give him a follow as well. But from us here in the commentary box, it is good night, and we'll see you again very soon.